watched Giorgio Visioli spar and Ahmed Hatim as well. Two new members of the Tibbs. How are them two getting on? It was a really good spar out there.
They're getting on very well, training hard, and as you say, you see the sparring session. That was a good sparring session, so he's ready to fight now, Giorgio.
Definitely is on January the 27th as well, so get yourself down to Belfast as well. Jimmy, obviously, I think we spoke previously, or not, sadly our first interview got deleted due to technical issues, so I've managed to grab you in here today again, so thank you for this. But obviously I read your book and you very kindly signed it for me, and there's some stories in there that I do want to go over. The first one is kind of how you kind of met and sort of sparred Muhammad Ali, and you ended up being on the cover, I think, the New York Times as well. If you don't mind, tell everyone kind of that story, if that's okay.
Well, I was fighting on his show in 1966, I think it was, and I was round my mate's yard. He had a scrap yard over Stratford, and another friend of mine pulled up in a car and said, "Jim, jump in, I've got to take you to White City. Terry's already down there, Terry Lawless, he's down there, Mickey Duff, and they want you to spar with Ali." So I thought to myself, me spar with Ali? I'm only 12 stone. Does he want to spar with me? Boy, he must have money to get proper sparring partners. But anyway, I never discussed it with the guy. I just went down there, he had all my gear, set for me cup, he forgot that, my protector. Anyway, gets down there, met everyone, Angelo Dundee, Mickey Duff was there, Terry Lawless obviously. Ali was watching me doing his hands up, and I was watching him. And Jimmy Ellis, I was getting ready. Jimmy Ellis, the former world heavyweight champion, he went, I forgot my cup. He went, "Here, Jim, borrow mine." I thought, well, that's kind of him. Put it on. Got in the ring, started loosening up. Hit him with one jab, down. He hit that deck 1,000 miles an hour. And I thought in my mind, did I hit him? I don't know if I hit him or not. And anyway, and then I heard the click, 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 click cameras that went all around the world. And it was for publicity, not for me, for the show, I suppose. And it went all around the world. And it was on the New York Sports Times, something like that, the New York paper they got out there. I think I was the first British fighter to ever be on it. So I was told. Anyway, had a great time there, really. Met Ali and shook hands with him, but I can always say I never sparred with Muhammad Ali, but I shared the ring with one of the greatest heavyweights I've ever known. You
definitely did, and the photo is absolutely excellent. I'll put it onto the interview as well, and it is in the Origin gym on the wall as well. So it's a great photo, and I feel like everyone should know that story, Jimmy, as well. And obviously after your boxing career, obviously you went into training as well, and kind of your manager Terry Lawless as well. He asked you to look after a few fighters.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of went from there. Obviously you started kind of taking Charlie Magri on the pads, and it kind of all snowballed. I mean, how do you reflect on your time as a coach?
Well, I had a wonderful time because I had a very, very good experienced man who I was working with, Terry Lawless, Frank Black, both experienced in boxing, and it was my first time working with professional people, but I picked it up quick, like I picked boxing up quick. And I worked with all them fighters, Charlie Magri, Lloyd Hannigan, Frank Bruno, Mark Kaler, and a host of others that I can't think of at the moment. And we had good pad work. I was telling them out what to do and what not to do, and why I want them to do it, what I think they should do, because I watched them all fight. It wasn't just crash bang wallop, it was proper coaching, what I thought was proper coaching. And when Terry came back from his business in America, he rang me up and said, I didn't bother to go down there that day, but he rang me up, he said, might be able to do a bit of business, Jim. So I went down and he said, look, they want you to train the fighters want you to train them. Worked a deal out, went around the fighters, everyone was happy, and that was in 1981, and I haven't been outside the gym since.
Definitely, I mean, and what a story it's been as well, and I think everyone's glad that you stayed in the boxing gyms as well. You just touched on a bit there, Jimmy. Kind of, in your book, you touch on why it's important to tell a boxer why he should do something instead of just telling them to do it. Why, in your opinion, is that the most important thing for a coach?
Well, it's good to get people fit. A lot of people can get people fit, but they've got to be taught not to get hit if they can. Use a jab, like hook off a jab. Once they get that bit of experience, a good fighter will know what to do anyway. But it's nice to tell them, look, slip his left hand. Slip his left hand. All right, you've slipped it. Now slip left hook over the top, or left hook underneath. Things like that, little things like that. Walk around, and when you tell a fighter, do this and do that, and let me tell you, if you don't do it, this is what you're going to get caught with. You may get caught with a right hand, left hook, and they like that. And remember one thing: when you coach fighters, them fighters are going to go away. They may be nice in front of you, but if you're no good, they're going to go, he ain't worth two bob. Not to your face, behind your back. But I think I've done the right thing, because I had lots and lots of fighters keep coming. They kept coming all the time. So they must have been doing,
You definitely did, and the ones that we've mentioned, kind of obviously Charlie Magri, Frank Bruno, Mark Kaler, Lloyd Hunnigan, obviously Nigel Benn as well. But obviously, what kind of obviously Barry McGuigan, sorry, as well. Can't forget Barry as well. Kind of when you look back on your career, obviously you had some massive highs. What would you say? Is there one that kind of sticks out to you the most?
What, in training, as a trainer?
As a trainer, yeah, in world title fights or other fights as well.
Well, I've had lots of world title fights, and one of the biggest was with Nigel Benn when he won it, because we went out to Italy and everything was against us out there, everything. And we got stopped him with a cut eye, but we was in front, so they give us the fight. Then after that he went on and on and on and become a great fighter. But there's been lots of small hall shows, southern area title fights, where there've been real cracking fights, touch and go, and it's felt just the same as a world title fight to me, because it's one-on-one, and they're great fighters putting everything they can into it, and the best man wins.
Definitely, and you just look at Johnny Fisher's Southern Area title win, that one Southern Area Fight of the Year, and I mean, it was a cracking contest as well. Yeah. And also, obviously, we've spoken about kind of the big highs that you've had in your career, Jimmy, and like you said, there's been lots of them, but obviously there has been some kind of terrible lows, as with such a dangerous sport. Obviously, you were kind of there you were training Michael Watson when his tragedy happened, obviously, and then in your book you do discuss the death of Bradley Stone as well. Kind of obviously when things like this happen, obviously, how do you remain in boxing when the lows are so low?
Well, it's obviously one thing. You've got lots of other fighters that still got to be taken care of. So, but you've got to think of them. It's a sad thing when someone loses their life in boxing, like Bradley Stone. Lovely boy, good fighter. I think he got beat that night on a British title fight at York Hall, and he went in hospital and unfortunately he died. And we was all sad, and it took a long while for people to get over it. But it's no good walking away, because them other fighters that I've got, they want to keep carrying on, so I decided to carry on. And there was another time when Michael Watson got seriously injured with Chris Eubanks. It was a 50-50 fight at Tottenham, sell-out crowd. Michael was walking it, well, not walking it, when I say walking it, he had to work hard to walk it, because Chris Eubanks was a good fighter. He was a good fighter. And that night he was a good fighter that night, but he was behind on points. And my man was slipping and sliding, hooking. So have a rest this round, have a rest, you're well in front. He went out there, set about him to the body. When he come back, he said, sorry about that, Jim, I just had to work his body. But anyway, Michael caught him with a combination and he went down. But when he went down with them shots, he jumped up and hit Michael. I think it was a right uppercut through the middle. Good shot. And looking back on it all, without going through it in detail, because there's no need to, the referee had to stop it and he stopped it. And I'll say about Chris Eubanks, a great fighter, because it's never over till it's over. He got up from them punches off the floor and hit Michael with a right uppercut. I was a bit gutted because I thought the referee should have stopped it. When I felt him collapse in my arms, then I thought, oh yeah, okay. Great referee, I can't think of his name now. A good referee, I've been under him lots of times. And anyway, it got stopped and he went to one hospital, wasn't the right one, another hospital, finished up in Barts. And we stayed there for a fair while. And the man, Mr. Hamlin, I think his name was, who looked after him, he said to me, don't take it on yourself, it's, like, don't take all the blame, like, type of things. I felt a bit, but he was so much in front. When he come back, when he got knocked down, he was in the neutral corner and he walked to me halfway and I walked him back to the corner. He said, I'm fine, Jim. I said, look, one more round. You all right? I'm fine. I said to Dean Powell, water on his head, give him a drink, wiped him down. You got one round. Don't worry about eating him. Don't get caught. You're in front. You're going to win the title. Anyway, the referee stopped it in the 12th round. I think, or the 11th round. And got beat fair and square, like, can't complain, And I went home that night and I thought, well, I've had enough now. I don't think I'll carry on after that. It was a bit of a, I've been through some hard fights, but him getting injured like that. And me being a born-again Christian, I had the church people, the elders of the church, come round to see me. And they said, Jim, we've been praying about it, and the Lord wants you to stay in boxing, because you can talk to people in boxing about Jesus. And that's what I've done a lot over the years, if they want to know, I'll tell them.
Definitely, that's one part of, like, especially in your book, and obviously one thing, all the interviews that you've done, you do touch on the fact that your faith is a big part of your life. Is that kind of one of the main reasons what, like you said there, kept you in the sport and kept training fighters for a long period of time, even still helping out today?
Yeah, obviously, absolutely. I've been a born-again Christian for 33 years now, and it's been hard. I don't know if it's been easy, like people ask you questions and try and trick you up and all that, but listen, I believe what I believe. Jesus is my Lord and Saviour. He's the greatest. Ali comes to be after him. He's the greatest. And when I became a born-again Christian, this man who led me to the Lord, I said, what do I do now? He said, you don't do nothing. The Lord will tell you what to do. And he's just led me through. It's led me through my life.
It definitely has, and what a path it's been as well. The final kind of reminiscent I want to do from your book, Jimmy, and if you haven't read Jimmy's book, please do. It's a great read.
I read it myself.
You wrote, you lived it. You don't need to. You don't need to read it. It's a story with Danny Williams when I believe on the night he didn't want to fight and he was almost certain he was going home, and I think Frank Warren had a word in your ear, and it's quite a funny story with Danny Williams.
Me and Frank Black was sitting in the audience at Wembley, waiting for Danny to come in. It was a Frank Warren show, and so we're sitting there for half an hour, and all of a sudden Danny walks in. I said, Frank, Danny's here, can we take him round the dressing room? So I said to, as soon as I see him, hello Dan, you look good, how'd you feel? He said, I feel all right, Jim. He said, I feel good. I said, okay. I said, what we do tonight? He went, Jim, he said, I don't fancy fighting tonight. Oh, I'm not going to fight tonight. So I said, well, what's the matter with you then? He went, nothing wrong with me. I said, yeah. I said, you seen the doctor, you seen Frank Warren, you told him you're not going to fight. But no, he said, he looked as if he's, do I have to do that? I said, Dan, you just can't come in and say I'm not going to fight. You've got to see your manager, the doctor, and explain things. And I told Frank, he went, oh, blimey, so I've never heard this before. So we had a walk. I took him for a walk. I thought, what I'll say to him? I can't remember what I said to him now, but talked him round, and Frank wanted him to fight, and he thought he'd stop the guy in 2 rounds. And he was a good fighter, Danny Williams, a very good fighter.
He definitely was. I mean, Jimmy, thank you again for your time today. Obviously, my final question, we ask everyone this, and we sort of touched on it in this interview, but when all's said and done, what does boxing mean to you?
Well, boxing means a lot to me because it's been half my life. It's been good to me. I've worked hard. It wasn't always world title fights. It's been hard from the 6-rounders to the 12-round fights, and being up the gym, training 12, 13 fighters with a bit of help. I had to have help, and then hire a couple of people to do groundwork with this one. I should say, well, give him a light one, give him an easy one. I knew exactly what I was doing, and then go from there down to Luton to train Barry McGuigan. Then come from Barry McGuigan and go right to York Hall. So there had lots of times like that where you just wasn't plain sailing, and then shows get cancelled through accidents. They get. So that's the way it goes, and but I've had a great life in boxing, and I've met some wonderful people. Most of them, all wonderful people. Pleased to meet them.
Definitely, and what a story it's been. And like I said, if you haven't read Jimmy's book, please do. But Jimmy Tibbs, thank you again for your time today, mate. And yeah, every time I love coming to the gym, I love seeing you guys. So thank you very much for letting me in.
It's a pleasure.
Cheers.
Pleasure.